Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. I am Vineet Arora. With me, I have Porvinder Singh and Ian Turner as my co-presenters. Over the last year or two, almost every organization has been experimenting with AI in some form, chatbots, automation, or small pilot projects. However, what we consistently see is that while pilots generate excitement, very few organizations are able to take AI into real, scalable production. Today's session is about addressing that gap. We will discuss how AI agents, when implemented with the right structure, help organizations move from experimentation to a measurable business value in a way that is secure, governed, and scalable. Next. Let me briefly outline what we will cover today. And before I do that, I would like to share that we have incorporated a few polls to keep the session interactive. And we are hoping to have your active participation. We request you to post your questions in the chat window or Q&A section, and we'll have a Q&A session in the end. Coming back to the agenda, first we will align on what AI agents actually are, how they differ from traditional automation or chatbots. Then we'll talk about why many AI initiatives struggle to scale in enterprise environments. We will then talk about the business values and drivers for AI agents. After that, we'll look at how a combination of low code and pro code approach creates a practical and sustainable way forward. And finally, you will see how this comes together through real world scenarios and a live demonstration. The intent today is to leave you with a practical roadmap, which will help you to get started and scale with confidence. Next. Let's look at why most AI initiatives stall. Most AI initiatives do not fail because the technology is immature. We have seen great advancement in this technology in the last 2 years. They fail because they are implemented as isolated experiments. What we typically see, individual bots, disconnected automation, or departmental solutions that work in isolation, but don't integrate well across systems or teams. Over time, this creates fragmented data, technical debt, and governance challenges. As a result, AI remains stuck at the proof of concept stage instead of becoming an enterprise solution. The key insight here is that AI success requires more than tools. It requires an ecosystem and architectural approach. Next. Before we move forward, here is a poll. It should be on your screen in a second. We request you to give your responses. What is the biggest challenge you face when scaling AI initiatives? We request you to give your feedbacks. Thank you. Let's look at the AI agent landscape. There is a lot of talk and confusion around what we actually mean by AI agents. So let's simplify this. Chatbots. Chatbots primarily respond to user queries. Their scope is limited to the conversation. Automation executes predefined workflows based on fixed rules, rigid workflows. If this happens, then do that. AI agents represent a shift beyond both of these. AI agents understand goals. They can reason through options, orchestrate actions across multiple systems, and often with minimal human intervention. This distinction is important because many organizations believe they are building agents, while in reality, they are operating at the chatbot or automation layer. If we talk about Microsoft solution on AI agents, we have Copilot Studio, which provides the orchestration layer, and Azure AI Foundry delivers the intelligence layer. We will see more on this in the upcoming slides. Next. Before we move, let's see why AI agents matter. So why do AI agents matter from a business perspective? First, speed to value. Intelligent workflows can be deployed in weeks rather than months with AI, especially with low code or hybrid solutions. Second, process orchestration. AI agents can connect multiple systems and eliminate manual handoffs, avoiding data silos. Third, consistency and governance. With AI agents, decision making becomes standardized, auditable, and more secure. Finally, using Microsoft ecosystem provide us with the enterprise grade security, compliance, and data protection. When implemented with the right structure, organizations see significant reduction in the process cycle times, along with measurable improvements in productivity and customer experience. Next, status quo. Without a structured approach, AI and automation often create problems instead of solving existing ones. We end up with siloed boards that cannot share context, fragile workflows that break when requirement changes, and governance gaps that introduce security and compliance risks. This fragmentation is one of the main reasons why nearly 70% of AI initiatives never move beyond pilot phase. This is exactly why a structured architectural approach to AI agents become critical from day one. Next. We have one more poll. It should be on your screen in a second. How would you describe your organization's current use of AI? Thank you for your participation. Now that we have aligned on the problem and why AI agents need a structured approach, I will hand over to Porvinder Singh, who will walk you through the architecture and a live demo of showing how this works in real enterprise deployments.
Yeah, thanks, Vineet. So I hope everybody can hear me clearly. So, like Vineet mentioned, there are a lot of challenges with setting up AI projects in an organization. So, what are the strategies that we can adopt to overcome those challenges is what we are gonna discuss about in the next few slides. Look at the architecture of how low-code technologies can help us build AI solutions and where pro-code can come in and help us scale to even complex solutions. So moving forward, if we look at the use cases for low code, so I mean, if we talk about low code, it's best for smart automation solutions. So solutions where there are rule-based workflows, where there are decision trees, where there are approvals required. Uh, AI, these low-code solutions work really well. And by integrating AI solutions into these low-code workflows, we can make them even more intelligent. Moving forward, we'll see a quick demo of where low-code AI agents shine. Uh, then low code is very well for rapid prototyping. So if you want to get started quickly, you want to cover simple workflows, you want to cover small departments in your organization, low code tools can be very best. You can create these tools in a matter of weeks and do MVP validation before you decide to deploy them to a larger or user base in your organization. Or if you want to intelligently automate some business processes without doing extensive coding. Maybe you don't have a coding team in your organization, but you do have some citizen developers, people with some knowledge of IT. They can start using these low code tools to build intelligent automation solutions. Or if you are a Microsoft 365 shop, you have heavily invested in those tools. You use a lot of SharePoint, OneDrive teams in your organization. These low-code tools, they rapidly integrate with these Microsoft 365 technology, so you don't need to go out of your way and build those integrations from scratch. These integrations are already present, and you can start combining all these solutions into a singular intelligent workflow. And if you have scenarios where speed is critical, where you need to get moving very fast. So like I said, prototyping is one, but if post prototyping also you want to rapidly progress, you want to increase your user base, you don't want to worry about the hosting part or the infrastructure part. So you want to let Microsoft manage the scalability and you just want to focus on your end product. That's where low code can shine. And if we have a look at the tool stack, so what are the tools that Microsoft provides us for these intelligent automation? So we have our Copilot Studio, which basically acts as the orchestrator. You can build conversational agents. You can connect these conversational agents with Power Automate workflows, and Copilot Studio can handle the orchestration, choosing which Power Automate flow to call when and where. And then uh, to allow Copilot Studio agents to interact with data that is changing, we can use Power Automate to connect with various enterprise systems. We can connect them with our ERPs, our SAPs, or if we have any line of business app that we have developed in our organization, we can connect these Copilot Studio agents with the help of Power Automate. We can quickly create, front-end solutions for our users using Power Apps. So Power Apps, you can create front-end where users can go and interact. You can integrate Copilot Studio agents directly into your applications. So if you already are using Power Apps, you have some low-code applications developed, you can integrate agents directly into those applications as well. And then if you use Dataverse, if you are a Dynamics user, you use Dataverse for storing your data, you would have seen that, Microsoft out of the box provides you with Dynamics Copilot agent. Similarly, if you use Dataverse for any other application, for any other use case in your organization, apart from Dynamics, you can also build conversational agents on top of Dataverse with the help of Copilot Studio. So the idea, or rather, I should say, the advantage of low-code agents is that you can move from idea to production within weeks. And like I said earlier, it's perfect for business users who might not have the expert or extensive coding knowledge required to build pro code solutions out of the box. Or if you are a citizen developer and you've already used Power Automate, Power Apps to create workflows and applications in your organization, you can also get started with AI solutions in those applications and workflows very quickly. If we look at pro code, so pro code basically, so pro code should not be adopted if your low code solutions failed. So I see people saying that, okay, my use case was not completely working with low code. Maybe pro code can help. So that is not the idea you should have when going into pro code. Pro code solutions should be looked at when your workflows or your intelligent solutions that you're trying to build, they require a lot of precision. They require high precision, or you want to scale to a very large user base, or you have some performance demands that need to be met. That is when ideally you should have a look at pro code solutions. So they are these solutions, pro code solutions are really helpful when you have complex requirements where you need to fine tune your own LLM models. You want to train them on your data and then use those models in your workflows. Or you have some mission critical systems which require very low latency, high throughput. You need a very high fault tolerance. These are the use cases when you should look at using pro code solutions. And if we have a look at the tool stack for pro code, just like we had Copilot Studio as our orchestrator in low code. In pro code, we have Azure AI Foundry, where you can build agents. You can fine tune your own LLM models, and then allow AI Foundry to orchestrate agents and choose which LLM model to use and when. And then you can have Azure functions where you need to integrate with third-party applications, or you want to integrate with databases hosted on cloud. Azure functions, you can write functions in Azure functions and they can help you choose and connect with those services. We also have Azure Cognitive Services. So Azure Cognitive Services provides a lot of pre-built AI capabilities. So for example, you want to use speech to text, or you want to use computer vision in your workflows. Now, these are some capabilities which you will not get when you are building with low code. These are only available for pro code right now. So when you need these complex capabilities, you should have a look at Azure Cognitive Services. And then you can also combine the two. So it's not that you have to build everything in pro code. You can choose to combine Copilot Studio. You can let Copilot Studio handle the orchestration part, and you can bring in your own LLM models, your own fine-tuned agents from AI Foundry directly into Copilot Studio so your users can use them. And like I said, whenever we are building these solutions, we should always look to start with low code for speed. And whenever there is a requirement for scaling up or adding more complexity, that is when we should choose to layer in pro code offerings into our low code solutions. So, and we have seen like most of the enterprise solutions that we have worked around, they are not really only pro code or only low code. Usually they are a combination of two, because that provides a lot of speed and agility to us to make solutions, customize them according to our needs without having to build everything from scratch. So I think before we move forward, we have one more poll for you guys. So what best describes how AI solutions are currently built in your organization? Like, are you building them on low code, on pro code? Do you have a mix, or you don't have any active AI initiatives in your organization? We'll have a uh, we'll have wait for a couple of seconds for you to give your answers. All right. So moving forward, so like we have discussed when to use pro code, when to use low code, and what are the tools that are available to us. But how do these tools all come together? So we'll have a look at architecture for both of them. So like in any AI agent that you're trying to build, there are 5 layers. So one is the user interaction layer. Next, we have our conversation layer. Third is the orchestration layer, and then we have our business context layer and the connectors and integration layers. So you'll find that these 5 layers are present in both pro code and low code. So if we start with low code, for user interactions, Copilot Studio provides us with ability to build conversational interfaces. We can embed these interfaces into Microsoft Teams. So if you're already using Teams, your users don't need to go open a new website or open any other app to interact with the agent. They can do that directly in Teams. Or we also have the ability to integrate them into web portals, into applications that we have developed in our organization. And Copilot Studio will handle all the natural language input and responses. So whenever the user inputs any queries or asks for any detail, Copilot Studio will go and manage the conversation flow. So based on what question the user is asking, it will trigger different topics inside of it, and each topic will take the conversation in one direction or another. And it will also manage entity or intent extraction. So what I mean by entity or intent extraction is, what is the user trying to ask? Do I need to go and fetch information from a SAS, or can I give answers from already information that has been given to me in form of documents or documents stored on SharePoint? So all this is handled by Copilot Studio. And based on this, it will go ahead and choose to trigger Power Automate workflows that you have created. So if it thinks that, okay, I need to go and interact with the application to get the answers. It will go and trigger those APIs, get those results, and pass it back to Copilot Studio, where it will then peruse through our business rules. So maybe we have defined some business rules, some business logics, or we want the answers to be grounded. All that will be handled by our business and context layer. And then finally, uh, if finally once the answer has been generated, it will pass it on back to the users. And then all the connectivity, like I said, is handled with the help of Power Automate. So it can integrate with M365 services. It can also integrate with line of business applications. And we can also use it to trigger our, more complex services that we are using from Azure Cognitive Services, etc. Now, when it comes to identity, everything is handled by Entra ID. User identity, authentication, authorization, everything is handled by Entra ID. So users will only get answers from services that they have access to. All your DLP policies will be uh, used to answer the user question, and you can monitor the performance of your agents directly from Copilot Studio. You can also do lifecycle management, so you can publish update versions based on the feedback from the users, and you can also roll back to previous versions of an agent. So just to have a look at a diagram, if we have a look at Copilot Studio architecture, so like I said, uh, our users interact with the Studio agent. It handles all the intent matching, capturing the variables from the user's query. What are the conditional paths what are different conditional paths that are present? And based on all the detection that it has done, it will go and choose whether it needs to fetch in dynamic or transactional data. If it does find that it needs to do that, it will trigger Power Automate flows, go and connect with our enterprise systems and get the answer. And if it finds no, I don't need to fetch, it will just fetch from our pre-existing knowledge databases. Response grounding, it will do all the response composition grounding based on the business rule that we have defined and then provide the final answer to the user. Now, if we have a look at the different layers for a pro code agent, we have our invocation layer. Similarly, just like with the conversational layer, we have our invocation layer, which can either be a Copilot Studio agent or it can be a custom application that we have developed. And this agent this layer will handle all the user intent, extraction, context, authorization. Pass it on to our orchestrator, which in Pro code could be, your own code written in Python, C Sharp. And this orchestration layer will handle the intelligence, will pass on the information to the intelligence layer where we'll have our agents, our AI models deployed uh, based on our domain specific knowledge. And then we have our integration layer, which will help us to connect our agents with different services, with different applications. And finally, we have our data storage layer. So whenever we are working with Pro Code agents, it's really good to store the responses, user feedback, and questions that they are asking. So we store them. You have different options. You can use Cosmos DB to store these interactions, or you can use Redis cache to do that. And just like with low code, you can integrate Entra ID directly into your Pro Code solution for role-based execution, for monitoring, logging, and everything can be done directly on the Azure portal. So similarly, if we try and have a look at architecture for Pro Code agent, this is a typical architecture where we have our own front ends developed, which are hosted on app service on Azure. Our users interact with this front end. Uh, then we have our orchestration layer running on containers. You can choose to run them on app services, or you can choose to run them on Azure Container Services. This orchestrator is then connected with Foundry, where we have our LLM models, where we have our agents trained. And it also has connections with Cosmos DB, where we have stored all the information from past runs of the agent. And the orchestrator can also connect to different tools, different knowledge sources to carry out any actions or get the information that the user wants. Okay. Now that we have looked at having low code, pro code solutions act separately, how do they interact in, or how do they work in tandem? So we can choose to use a combination of both low code and pro code. And the role that each of these solutions play is a bit different. So in our understanding, if you are using a combination, you should always let the user interaction part be handled by the low code solutions because they are pre-built, they have integrations with Microsoft 365 services, you have Power Automate to connect to most SaaS offerings that are present out there. And then the role of pro code is should be limited to advanced reasoning or building your own custom models and bringing them over to low code solutions. Or if you have some complex integration needs or any performance critical logics that need to work. So with the both with integrating them in this way, you have the speed and accessibility of of low code agents, so you can develop them quickly. And then whenever you need more depth, you need more control and more reliability, you have pro code to handle all the logical part of the solution. So if we try and have a look at the architecture of how such a thing works, so we have our users who can interact with Copilot Studio agent. It acts as our orchestration layer, uh, which and then we have Azure Foundry, AI Foundry, from where our models are inferred. So we can have bunch of different models deployed there, and the studio agent can choose which model to use when. We can also bring in custom skills. So if we want to use skills like computer vision, speech to text, text to speech, those can be brought in from Azure Cognitive Services. And then the studio agent will also have connections to different uh, enterprise systems, different custom functions that we have written with the help of Power Automate. So Power Automate will handle all the workflow integration that needs to happen to response back to the user. Yeah, all right. So I think so now that we've seen how agents work, so what about the security part, right? So security is very critical when we are talking about AI agents or LLM models that we are using. So Microsoft has responsible AI principles that they adhere to. So like any customer data that is being given to train your models or any prompts that you're giving to it, they are stored for every tenant in an isolated environment. So they are not shared across different tenants. Any data that you upload to your agents stays within the confines of your Azure Microsoft 365 tenant. Then any data that you upload is not used to train any of the foundational models. So if you are using GPT models or Mistral or any other models that are available on AI Foundry, those foundational models are never trained on your data outside the context of your requirement. Any data that you upload is processed within your own geography. So, it adheres to the tenant location that you have. So if you are using it in EU and you upload any data, the data stays inside European data centers. It's not processed and brought to other data centers in other regions. And as a customer, you own and control the data lifecycle. So you can choose to go and delete any data that has been uploaded or used to train models for your requirement. And without your opt-in, those documents, those informations are never shared with any of the providers that Microsoft works with. And automated abuse detection is built into these solutions to prevent any harmful or non-compliant usage. All right, so I think now we'll move on to a quick demo. So I think we'll first start with the demo of a low-code document processing agent. So what happens is we have this tool built. So you have different options. You can have this built as a separate application in Power Apps, or you can choose to have it built into Copilot Studio agents so that your users can interact with it within the Teams application. But the idea of this application is that I can upload any kind of document, be it an invoice, be it a HR related document, be it a legal document. And based on the type of information that is present inside the document, it will go ahead and trigger some other models which have been trained for those specific needs and extract the information for us. So the idea here is that our users don't need to use different applications if they are from different department. We have a singular application which can handle integration with department specific applications and extract information and go and store them. This is where data silos are not created. We have a singular application which handles interactions for all the departments. So if we go ahead and upload a document, so for example, let me upload. I think I'll start with an invoice and then I'll move on to some other examples. So quickly, I'll go ahead and upload, and within seconds, within 7 to 8 seconds, we'll see that it has extracted the required information and presented us with the output. And then we can choose what the next steps are. So if we, as a user, if we find that, okay, I need to go ahead and make some changes in the information that has been extracted, I can choose to do that, or I can simply go and submit so that this agent can go and store the information for us in the application. So here we can see that, the agent it detected that, okay, this is a invoice that has been uploaded, and these are the information that we have trained our agents on, that whenever an invoice is presented to you, we need these fields, these entities extracted, and it does that for us. And then as a user, I can quickly do a validation if needed, and I can make changes directly here. And then I can choose to do the next steps. If I have uploaded, let's say, a bunch of invoices and I just want to export them into an Excel so that I can work on it, run some macros, I can choose to do that with the help of export CSV. Or if I want, okay, the information is correct, now please go and store this information in the app, I can click on commit to app and it will make appropriate API calls and go and store the information for us. So what exactly is happening in the backend if we want to have a quick look? So whenever our users are uploading information, be it through a Copilot agent or doing that or uploading it into a Power App, that document is being passed on to Power Automate, where in Power Automate, sorry, we have we have different models that are created, and the job of each model is different. So we have a document identification model which identifies the type of document, and based on the result it passes it on to the respective agent. So if it finds that, okay, this is a legal document, it passes it on to the legal model. It does the extraction. Any business logic that we have defined is taken care of by the legal model. And then it chooses, okay, do I need a user input before I go and make the changes or store the information? If it finds that, yes, I need the user to validate the information, it can ask the user to do that. Again, it can be done within the Power App or within the Copilot Studio agent window. And once the user confirms, it can go and intelligently route the results to the appropriate application. So if it was a legal document, it will pass it on to the legal application. If it was a resume or an employee related document, it will pass it on to the HR software that you have. So this is how a low code intelligent document processing solution can work. Uh, so staying in the realm of low code, so we have seen this as an agentic solution which is going ahead and connecting with our applications and doing work on our behalf. We also have conversational agents built in low code. So we have agents for different departments. So in this example, we have an agent for HR where users can go and ask policy related questions, and the agent will peruse through the policy documents that are stored on SharePoint and get the users the correct answer. So for example, if I ask, okay, how many leaves do I have? Pretty simple question. It will go ahead and look in our policy documents and get us the result here, right? So we get that. We can also choose to connect these agents with public websites. So in this example, we have it connected to a couple of e-commerce sites, and we can ask it that, okay, show me, the price of a particular phone model, for example. So it will do that. It will go ahead, connect with those public websites, make the search and get me back the result. So here I asked it for a particular iPhone model. It went ahead. It extracted the entity that, okay, this is the entity that I need to look for on these sites. And it did that and got us the results along with the links. So I can choose to click on these links and go ahead. So these were examples of low code agent, connecting with your SaaS applications or public websites or documents that are stored on SharePoint or OneDrive. We also have pro code agents that are built. Uh, so this solution that you're seeing on your screen right now is a sales analytics agent. So it basically connects with the sales database that we have, and our users can ask questions and get us the answers. So why did we choose to build this on pro code and why not go with the low code solution? Now, the thing is, low code on its own is doesn't really work very well with relational databases. So if you have very large databases in your organization, or you have different databases for different departments, and you want agents to be smartly connect with different databases and get the users the required answers, that's where Pro Code can really shine. So that's the reason we have built this around Pro Code. And how this agent really works is we have multiple agents that are deployed. So this is the like architecture diagram of that agent. So we have our users who are interacting with the front end. So you can choose to build the front end on different technologies. You can have it built on Streamlit, Next.js, React, or you could choose to use Copilot Studio also. So if you don't want to go into developing the front end also, you can choose to keep it with Copilot Studio. Let the studio handle the chat interface, handle user input and history. But once the user has passed on their query, we get to the orchestrator, which is basically a Python script that is run. It handles all the core logic of the application. So it this orchestrator is the one which chooses which of the different agents do I need to trigger, and which tools do these agents need to use to get the answer. So you have different agents developed here in AI Foundry. Each agent has a different set of tools that help them perform certain actions. So the orchestrator is the one which tells, okay, now go and you turn on this agent and use this particular tool. So the orchestrator is basically the brains of the organization. Once the orchestrator had decided, okay, now go and trigger the planner agent. The planner agent basically receives the user's question. It identifies if I need if any clarifications are required. So maybe in your sales database you have product codes or you have different invoice codes. And when the user asked a question, they weren't very clear which product they're talking about or which invoice type they're talking about. So the planner agent can decide that, okay, I need some clarifications before the process can proceed. And it can ask the users about those clarifications. Once it has all those answers with it, it can it will create a step-by-step plan which the other agents will follow. So that plan is then passed on to our SQL agent. So SQL agent has access to your relational databases, your business rules, any reference data that you want to store. All those are accessible by the SQL agent. Based on your business rules and based on the schema of your databases, it will create an appropriate SQL query that needs to be run. It will run that SQL query on the respective databases and pass on the results of those queries to the interpreter agent. So the interpreter agent is the one which receives the results. It uses your business rules, your business logics to ground them, and it can generate charts on your behalf. So if you want, if your users want that, okay, for this particular query, I need a chart created, interpreter agent will call on the tools that are available to it to create those charts. And then finally, once the interpreter agent has run its course, it will pass on the final response back to the orchestrator, which then passes it on back to our user on their front end that they have. We also have cache here. So why you should use caches if multiple users are asking queries which are very similar to each other, we don't need to go and trigger our agents every time, because that also increases the cost that we incur if we are calling the agents for each and every question. So it's usually a best case. It's usually good to store all the previous conversations, all the previous SQL queries that have been created in a cache, which the orchestrator can choose to access. So if the user is asking a question which somebody has already asked, rather than going and calling all these agents and incurring API costs, we can just go and look up those queries in our cache and reply back to the user. So this is how a multi-agent pro code solution really works. So this example was for a sales agent, but it can be customized to any requirement, to any agent that we have in our organization. Okay. So what are some of the real world use cases? So these are some cases that we've worked on, and these are all a combination of pro code and low code. So if we start with low code, we have intelligent document processing. So like an example I showed to you, it can process different type of documents. In this particular deployment, it was limited to invoice processing for finance department, but it can be customized for any document type for any department. Then we have the sales enablement agent, which I talked about just now, which is a pro code solution which can connect with your CRMs, with your ERPs, and make updates, allow users to get information from ERP and CRMs. And then we have a finance operation agent, which is a combination of low code and pro code, which helps your finance department during month ends for making sure all the data is entered correctly, making sure reconciliation is happening, and it can also detect any anomalies in your financial spendings and report that back to you. And then we have again a low code HR agent built on top of Copilot Studio, which can connect with documents, policy documents stored on SharePoint, and reply back to user questions, and also allow ticket routing in case any IT help is required to answer those questions. Okay, so we have another poll. What are the top priorities for you in the next month around AI? So it should be coming up on your screen anytime now.
Excuse me, Porvinder. So while the answer, can you go back to the previous screen? I want to just talk about a couple of more use cases.
Yep.
So
Yep.
when I was looking at, you've shown that HR agent also. So a couple of other use cases which, we come across is, for example, a customer support agent. So let's say if you are into, financial services business or B2B services or a SaaS company, We can have an agent which can handle customer queries, let our customer know ticket status, they can query FAQs or know about service requests. So it will really improve the customer experience, and also can help resolve tickets by giving the answers from FAQ. Another one interesting use case is, let's say, if you are into manufacturing, for example, or any other product business, you can have a sales agent or sales or lead agent, which can engage website visitors, help qualify leads, or even answer the product questions, and also book meetings if customer wants to. So I think that is also a very interesting use case. One more use case we come across is also the suppliers. So if you are a big organization and you have a lot of suppliers, you can also create an agent for your suppliers to inquire about their payment status, their invoice status, and their material production status, and so on. So there are so many use cases, in fact, if you look at various business around. So just wanted to add that. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Uh, Okay, so what should be your roadmap, right? So let's say you're trying to build an AI strategy in your organization. So what are some of the steps that you should follow as a best practice? So I think the first one is you should first identify all the different offerings that can be automated, can be useful, uh, can be more very useful with addition of intelligence into them. So we need to identify and prioritize which services to use to. So I think to start with, you should focus on those workflows which have a clear ROI. And once you have identified and prioritized, you should always start with low code solutions. Don't just jump in and go ahead with pro code. With the help of low code, you can build small initial agents which can provide quick value without any extensive investment involved. And then when you have scalability needs, or when you have needs that require more complexity, you should add in more intelligence by integrating features from Foundry, from cognitive services like we looked at. And then we should also have a standardized governance roadmap to make sure we have all the security, compliance, monitoring, everything in place before we scale it out to a larger user base. And then finally, scale our solutions across teams. So build a center of excellence to drive user adoption, make sure the agents, the workflows that we are developing are being used, and keep on improving them, build in feedback so that users can give their feedback directly from within applications, from within agents, and build on those feedbacks to improve the user experience. So why would this approach work, right? So I think the first thing is faster delivery. If we do choose to start with low code solutions rather than having our solutions being built in months, in quarters, we'll have something working for users within weeks. It's it wi- it is lower risk. If we start small, we can iterate over it. We can iterate on top of it, and before we scale it out to a bigger user base, we would have made all our learnings, and then we would have a scalable foundation built in. So we don't need to go ahead and develop different agents for different workflows. We can have a single foundational layer and then add in more intelligence, add in more workflows on top of those layers. And we also, choose to keep our offerings aligned around Microsoft. So if we have already chosen to go ahead with Microsoft services, we have made some big investments. We don't go out of our way to, bring in other third-party services to work on our requirements. Okay, all right. I'll pass it on to our colleague Ian to talk a bit about our platform.
Yes, thanks, Porvinder. yeah, that was great. And Porvinder's given a great insight into the Power Platform around the Power Apps, Copilot Studio, and Power Automate. But as you can see from the slide, it doesn't just stop there. The platform, it also covers Power BI and also Power Pages. But I'll come back to those in a little bit. I just wanted to give you sort of a brief history around the platform and where this low-code platform has come from. It's been around probably 10 years plus now, but it's still one of Microsoft's fastest growing platforms today. And it's growing what, 50% year on year, and I believe one of the reasons for that and for that continued adoption is because of the AI tools that are embedded in the platform already as part of the solution. There's no need for additional Copilot additions or licenses to be added to it. We've seen this afternoon the Power Platform is a low-code product with AI-powered tools designed to drive data automation, apps, and AI basically into one unified ecosystem. To accelerate, and as shown by Porvinder, accelerate the adoption and the ROI that the platform can give you compared to traditional development solutions out there. The Power Platform actually originated with Power BI, but in those days it was just called Business Intelligence. But today it provides an interactive dashboard, analytics to help organizations make those data-driven decisions. And what it does, it connects all your disparate systems into one data source and one view of the truth. So it makes reporting so much easier. On top of that, there's Power Pages, which in the old days was just Power Portals. And what this does, it enables rapid creation of those secure data-connected business websites and portables that are accessible both to employees but also to your customers as well. So they can check on state of tickets, that type of thing, or even state of their invoices, however you want to interact. Or it might be just an information portal that you give your customers for research as well. So just to summarize, the Power Platform is a rapid digital transformation tool that uses low-code tools. It has seamless integration across all of the products you use today, all the Microsoft stack. So that's Microsoft 365. So that's like your Office, SharePoint, Word, Teams, Dynamics, if you use Dynamics from a CRM or a customer engagement tool. And what it also has is over 1,000 connectors to external solutions out there. It has AI-enhanced automation and app development, even to the point where there's no code in some cases to help develop applications to assist your business. And as already shown by Porvinder, it empowers those, what Microsoft term those citizen developers, which are people in your organizations who've got some technical abilities to work alongside the professionals to develop systems and solutions for your business. That Power Platform is used to enhance what you've already got today. So the final word for me really is don't be deterred by terminology of AI. We've all been using it every day for years, really, in our day-to-day lives. It just wasn't called AI in those days. It was just standard automation, or you can go back as far as predictive texting. And AI currently is there to be your assistant, to be a helper, to be an aid. And if you went back 50 years or so, it's very much like when the calculator appeared. It was an assistant, it was a help. And the only people who objected to those were either mathematicians or in particular my maths teacher. So what I'm asking you today is, don't be my maths teacher. Embrace AI. Thank you.
Okay,
Thank
thank
you, Ian.
you. So yeah,
Very good. Thank you,
I
everyone,
think
for your time today. If there are any questions, team, can you unmute if somebody has any questions? We will be happy to answer them. And there are questions about getting the recording and slides. Can somebody confirm from our side that those will be sent to all attendees?
Yes, we will share the presentation as well as the recording after the session.
Okay, great. Do we have any other questions?
no,
We
I
have
don't
another
see them.
couple of minutes, so please feel free if there are any questions, anything you want to know
Just
about.
an
Yeah,
observation from myself. It was quite interesting to see the results of some of the polls. 50% of people on the call haven't used AI yet,
yeah,
which is with the way everyone's trying to push it, it's not uncommon. It's something we are seeing a lot of.
yeah,
But it's good things. It's good things to know, and it's been enforced by this afternoon that people may not know just where to start, and then that might be the point. They all want to use it in their business because, me from a personal basis, it makes a big difference to me. Just helping in support with report writing or just framing something, or if they just have a question to ask. Obviously you always got to be careful and double check the end result with it. But I think the biggest thing where we can help is advising how these businesses can adopt and take advantage of what's there today, even in their standard Microsoft license. It's there to help and assist, but security is a big factor as well. The need to have their data secure and data in the right place. There's a data play to play first before they get the best use out of AI.
yeah, yeah. We have a related question also, Ian and Parvinder. Those who have not started the AI journey yet, what are some of the prerequisites to be established in M365 environment to protect the data? So if you already have M365, what should be in place additionally if you are going on an AI journey to protect the data? Parvinder, you want to take this one, like DLP or other security features we need?
Yep, yep. So I think, like I said, I think we should get first identify our use cases, and then even once we have identified your use cases, then we need to work a bit around security, making sure we are using Entra ID as our like identity source, because if we are starting with low code will always use Entra ID as the authorization service. So whatever rules we have defined in Entra ID, they will be respected whenever answering user questions. So we can make sure that is in place. And then we have, some other policies, making sure DLP is in place so that users they can't just use any AI service that is available to them. We make sure we restrict them to organization service, don't allow them to take out organizational data, have conditional access built in, uh, have uh, sensitivity labels defined for SharePoint, for OneDrive, for Teams, have a clear distinction in those sensitivity labels, like which information is public information, which is uh, confidential information, things like that need to be in place before we can, start going and deploying these solutions.
Yeah. Thank you.
If we use AI processing of data.
Okay. If we have one more question, if we use AI processing of HR data, have all the implication regarding GDPR been considered? That's a very good question. Anyone wants to take this?
Yeah, so I think they are not explicitly, not automatically built in. There are certain steps that need to be, need to be in place. So like I said, we need to have DLP policies, PII rules enabled in our organization before we can start processing of HR related data uh, in our solutions.
Yeah. And like if we start with the low code, or if we use services from companies like Microsoft, they already have these controls built in. So for example, your data will remain within the European region. And and all the additional controls, it will not be used to train the models. All those things are already in place. I think most of the services are also GDPR compliant. Ian, you want to
Yep.
say something?
Yeah, sorry, I was just going to say that we can support you guys on doing security assessments for your customers, so you can give a full assessment on where their estate looks today, analyze the licenses, look who's doing what with which licenses, and then obviously speak to the business and say, right, okay, exactly what Porvinder said, restrict the AI tool they can use, because that's, if you stick with the Copilot, Microsoft Copilot, it's not going outside of your data sets, and that's vital, particularly if we're talking about the AI, the HR piece as well. But yeah, we're here to assist on those security assessments if need be.
Yeah. Great. I think we are on time, and since we do not have any other question, we can wrap it up. Thank you so much, everyone, for your time today and joining us. We will touch base with you, share the recording and slides with you, and we hope to help you in your AI initiatives. Thank you, Parvinder. Thanks, Ian. Thank you, team.
Thank you,
Thank you,
everyone.
everyone.
My
Have a nice
pleasure.
day.
Cheers. Thanks a lot. Bye bye now.
Cheers. Bye bye.